All right. For the past few years on so called Black YouTube, I recognize a certain pattern among a lot of the people on Black YouTube. And this pattern shows over and over and over and over again. I see the same pattern when people speak about celebrity relationships breaking up. I see this pattern in a lot of people when they see a video of someone being rejected. I see that. And what's this pattern? This pattern is how a lot of people internalize rejection. One thing that I see that's very common in so-called Black YouTube is a lot of people crying over rejection. Not only do they cry over rejection, they also complain when they see a video of a person of the opposite sex rejecting someone else. And they so complain about it, or excuse me, they complain about it so much to the point of the fact that I've come to the conclusion that these individuals are internalizing what they see when they view the rejection on YouTube, because once they see that, it goes back to their own past, to when they experienced being rejected by the opposite sex, to the point of fact that it traumatized them. A lot of people on so-called Black YouTube have allowed the rejection that they've experienced in the past traumatized them, to the point of fact that they bring that trauma onto YouTube. Thus, whenever they see a video of someone rejecting another person of the opposite sex, they make a big deal over it. I mean, it's just like what happened earlier this week, right? Well, I'll say last week. Last week, or this past week, while there was another mass shooting that happened in Philadelphia. And by the way, my condolences to the victims and the families of the victims of that mass shooting in Philadelphia. Instead of a lot of people discussing that issue, what do you see? You see a lot of people making a big deal out of two situations, right? That should be very irrelevant. While you have the mainstream media trying to create this sort of sensationalization. They trying to sensationalize different shootings that happen all across the country. I mean, these shootings are unfortunate, but at the same time, you see the media sensationalize these shootings to try to convince people in America to give up or restrict their Second Amendment rights. Instead of us focusing on that, what we're focusing on is Michael B. Jordan, a millionaire actor, breaking up with some whore that he shouldn't have gotten into a serious relationship with. And also, what a lot of people is talking about, while more important things is happening, is that something that happened on a YouTube series called The Pineapple Show, where this 23-year-old female who's a cheerleader for the Atlanta Hawks, she was on a dating show. I think it's some speed dating show on YouTube, where I guess it's set up where two people, a male and a female, can go on a panel together, and if they like each other, I guess they go deeper into their dating and whatever. But if they don't like each other, or if one person is not loses interest in the person that they're speaking to on the panel, they could just cut that person off. Well, this what happened. You guys know, where a 23-year-old female from Atlanta, Georgia, what's going on? Spiritual Logic, aka Hulk. What's going on? Eisen Sama. Shalom, shalom. Instead, what you see, okay, in that series, a 23-year-old female who's a cheerleader for the Atlanta Hawks was on that Pineapple show, and she came across this 27-year-old so-called black male who, according to his words, is a nuclear physicist for the U.S. Navy. And within about like a minute and a half of him speaking about himself and speaking about his accolades and his accomplishment, she rejected him and lost interest in him. And that 2-minute video, it was only like a 2.5-minute video. That 2.5-minute video made waves all up and down these black YouTube streets, where you have a lot of so-called black males making a big deal over that, complaining about her, the female that I'm speaking about, rejecting a nuclear physicist. Oh, how could you? He's a woman, modern woman rejects nuclear physicist. Women, I mean, that's the title of these videos when so many of these black males online was making video responses to that 2-minute clip that I was describing, right? Modern woman rejects nuclear physicist. Woman rejects nuclear physicist. And so many of these males was giving these breakdowns, was giving their reviews about that video, and they was complaining over how this female rejected a nuclear physicist. Like, oh man, he's a nuclear physicist. He's a very intelligent guy. He's a quote unquote high value man. How can she turn him down? And we had so many males complaining about that, to the point of fact that I saw that pattern that I mentioned earlier in this stream. That the pattern where they complain so much about this female rejecting that nuclear physicist, to the point of fact that it's almost like they've been rejected. So I'm saying, okay, you guys are internalizing this because you're still traumatized by the rejection that you faced in your personal life in the past. Thus, I diagnose the majority of black people on YouTube with H.R.T.D, Habitual Rejection Traumatic Disorder. H.R.T.D. This is I diagnose black people on YouTube with a brand new psychological disorder. Habitual Rejection Traumatic Disorder. Because you guys, a lot of you guys, not to the people in the comment section, I'm just speaking to the ones who fit the description of being diagnosed with H.R.T.D. A lot of you guys have a habit, or you are habitually or repeatedly traumatized by the rejection that you faced in your personal lives. Thus, whenever you see a YouTube video of some chick rejecting a guy, you get all overly emotional about it, to the point of the fact that you guys make it a very important topic. When in reality, there are more important things going on in this motherfucking world. It's a sickness with you guys. It's a disorder. Not only do you have post-traumatic stress disorder, you also have habitual rejection traumatic disorder. And the thing is, and the same thing, I see the same pattern when, the world heard the news of Michael B. Jordan breaking up with Lori Harvey. People made a big deal over that. According to what's being told, I don't know if it's true or not, Michael B. Jordan wanted to get married, and Lori Harvey was not interested in being married, so she broke it up with her. In which, in my mind, I'm still shocked that a person of Michael B. Jordan's caliber was stupid enough to actually have a serious relationship with a female who went behind another guy's back to mess with his own father. Okay? If you know as a fact that a female was dating one guy and went behind that same guy's back to mess around with his own father, this is the type of bitch that you should not take seriously. That's common sense. She's a whore. So if you as a male know this and you stupid enough to have a serious relationship with her, whatever happens as a result of that is your fault. So this is 100% Michael B. Jordan's fault. But nonetheless, a lot of males within Black YouTube made a big deal over that because once again, they're internalizing the rejection or the heartbreak that they faced in their personal lives. That's why they made a big deal over those two issues. That's why they prioritize those two issues over the media sensationalization of mass shootings. Yeah, they do. They do, Spiritual Logic and Eisen Sama. They love these hoes. These hoes are their gods. Yeah, they worship them. Exactly, Eisen Sama. Just look at the track record of Lori Harvey's mother. And that would let you know the type of female that brought up Lori Harvey. I mean, come on. It's not even that, Ayo. It's not even that, Ayo. It's like, okay, I mean, common sense would say that if a female don't have any interest in you, whatever the case may be, then fuck it. Move on. I mean, if you're an intelligent brother, right? If you're an intelligent person and you are accomplishing great things for yourself, and when you meet someone of the opposite gender and you tell this person about your accolades and they accuse you of not having a personality whatsoever, that's a reflection upon that person's way of thinking. Obviously, that person's an idiot. So if a person like that rejects you, they're doing you a favor. And I keep saying this over and over and over again. I've been saying this on YouTube since 2018. That males need to stop trying to make themselves appealing to females who are of low quality. But now I come to realize that that a lot of males on the internet are unable to do that because they suffer from H.R.T.D, Habitual Rejection Traumatic Disorder. Iori 666, what's going on? What's up? Yeah, spiritual logic. Yeah. Lost weak males don't even consider that they are females. That there are females they should reject because they don't qualify to be around them. Yeah. Yeah. There are females out there that you should be rejecting because they don't qualify to be around you. If someone claims that, once again, I'm sorry to repeat myself, but if a person claims that you have no personality because you gave like a 1 minute breakdown of your accomplishments, it goes to show you how much of an idiot that person is. That person don't even know you, but after 1 minute they claim that you don't have no personality. They did you a favor and let you know, hey, listen, I'm a jackass, I'm stupid as fuck, and I'm too dumb to realize how much of a quality individual you are. So I'm helping you out by rejecting you because I want to fuck with those who are just as remedial and degenerate as I am. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a nuclear physicist to recognize a fucking degenerate. A lot of these females are fucking degenerates. And to be fair, a lot of males are fucking degenerates. So there should be no reason why you should make yourself appealing to those who are degenerate. All you just need is like maybe a 5 minute conversation with a person to realize how degenerate they are. But the thing is, once again, unfortunately, a lot of males, a lot of so-called black people on YouTube suffer from habitual rejection traumatic disorder. They're so constantly traumatized by the rejection that they received from the opposite sex within their past that they're so steady trying to figure out a way for low quality degenerate people of the opposite sex to validate them. And if they don't get the validation that they're looking for, you see how they end up acting. You see how they act as a result of that. They become overly emotional. They become upset. They become pissed off. They're just showing the trauma that they suffer from through the rejection that they face in their life. And the thing is that everybody in this world have suffered rejection. I won't say suffer, but everybody in this world have experienced rejection. Whether it's rejection from the opposite sex that you had an interest in, whether someone of the opposite sex rejected you, whether you got rejected from a job position that you was interested in, whether, let's say if you're an entrepreneur and you came up with this brilliant business deal with a potential client, but the potential client rejected it. If you was looking to if there was a certain house in a certain neighborhood that you like, and you was waiting so much to put a down payment, but you wanted to, to put some mortgage, you wanted to put a down payment on the property, or you did put or you have the money for the down payment of the property, but you're just waiting for the bank to accept, the mortgage deal, but the bank declined it. That's a form of rejection, and that happens. Like in life, you're going to go through rejection. Maybe in high school, you tried out for the basketball team one year. You think that you played your best, but you didn't make it. That happens. Common sense will tell you that you don't you don't you don't get upset or traumatized about it. You learn from that experience and utilize that experience to make you stronger as a person. That's common sense. I'm not giving anybody anything complex. What I'm saying is common sense. And the same thing goes when it comes to in the world of dating and relationships. Everybody got rejected when it comes to, in the world of dating and relationships. You just got to get up and move forward, man. You can't let that rejection keep you in a state of being miserable, depressed, angry, and traumatized. No. You just move, there are too many females out there for a male to be traumatized over, a few females rejecting them. And it's the other way around too. There are too many males out there for a female to be traumatized over a few males rejecting her. You just gotta, what you have to do when it comes to rejection is that, like I said before, learn from that experience, see what you can do that's better, see what decisions you could have made that would have put you in a better position, and wipe the dust off your shoulders and keep going. But it seems like a lot of people, a lot of so-called black people on the internet do not understand that as a result of them always complaining about rejection. Black females don't reject the educated lane because they like Pookie and Ray Ray. Oh, females reject me because I'm not over 6 feet tall. Oh, females reject me because I don't have tattoos. Oh, females reject me because I'm educated. Oh, females reject me because I don't wear skinny jeans. And what's so sad about I'm giving examples of the complaints that a lot of people on so-called black YouTube make when they cry about rejection, which is so damn stupid. And what even makes it more stupid, that you have males who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s crying over rejection. I mean, it's one thing if males who are in their teenage, if teenage males or males in their early 20s make these types of statements. Okay, at least you could say, okay, this person is young. This person have not really experienced life yet to understand that rejection ain't shit. But when you have motherfuckers in their 30s, 40s, and 50s crying over rejection, crying over what happened 25, 30 years ago in high school, when you're now in your 40s and 50s, what type of shit is this? Although I'm asking a rhetorical question, the type of shit this is an example of habitual rejection traumatic disorder, H.R.T.D. Right. A lot of these hoes are lucky to even be in your fucking presence. Fuck out of here. A lot of these hoes should be lucky, should feel fortunate to even be in a 5 feet radius around your ass. Spiritual Logic says most of YouTube is about female worship and making money around that. Yeah. Most YouTube is about female worship, but this female worship revolves around them suffering from H.R.T.D. and making money around that. Yeah, making money while having these trauma bonding sessions with other males or other people that also suffer from H.R.T.D. What's up, Third War Columbia? Third War Columbia, what's good? Renaissance Man 2008, what's good? Renaissance Man said, I just watched the video and honestly, that brother dodged a bullet. Thank you. Thank you, Renaissance Man. Thank you. Thank you. That woman seemed like she would bring nothing but problems to his life. Exactly. 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 And the bitch didn't even look that good anyway. The bitch didn't even look that good for so many people on YouTube to actually make a response video about it and complain about it. You know, not that, you know what I'm saying? Not that I'm saying that looks matter more than character, but you know, of course, us, we're men, we're visual. You know, but then you got some bitch that's, you know, that's average on her best day. Average at best chick. She rejected some guy, you know, this nuclear physicist brother. And you have a lot of males making videos complaining about that shit. The fuck? You're complaining about some chick who looks average on her best day, and who you can even tell has some sort of maturity issue? You're crying over that? Like, a lot of you guys must have some extreme. You have to have very low self-esteem to be traumatized over some average at best looking chick rejecting somebody. I mean, hell, I mean, your low self-esteem already shows when you try to make yourself appealing to these low quality broads. Yeah, but that woman, that bitch in that pineapple show video did come across as someone that would bring a lot of stress to that brother's life. So, Renaissance Man, I totally agree. He did dodge a bullet. You know, a lot of you males, once again, you need to stop trying to look for validations from females on the internet. Because most of these bitches is crazy. And they're not worth it. Common sense will tell you that if someone of the opposite sex is not on the same wavelength as you, if their way of thinking, their standards, or values are not on the same level as yours, then you should not waste any time trying to make yourself or trying to seek validation from her. That's some dumbass shit. Eisen Sama says, NiggerTube is about the possibility of access to these hoes. They can't wait to get on the panel with one only for those hoes to talk to them like shit. Exactly. 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 I remember there was this one female, right? What was her name? A little light-skinned half-breed chick. What was her name? Janae? Well, Janae? Remember, like, last year, 2 years ago, he sort of made headlines on so-called Black YouTube. I think her name was Janae, some light-skinned mulatto chick who used to be on One Master Teachers panel, right? Now, when she was on One Master Teachers panel, saying the nonsense that she was talking about, a lot of the males a lot of the so-called black males on YouTube was calling her all types of whores and bitches, and that she's a hoe, and that she's that she's a spoiled goods and whatever and what have you. Basically, they was calling her all sorts of names, stating that she was whatever, right? Calling all sorts of bitches and hoes and shit, right? And one day she said on video that she desire a man who has over 9 inches. You guys know what I mean when she said that. She says she don't want any guy who has less than 9 inches in between his legs. And when she said that, these same dudes that was calling her all sorts of hoes and bitches and that she ain't shit got so upset over what she said. They got so upset. They got so emotional. They was like, oh, you hear that? One black male content creator, in which I'm not going to say his name, he turned around and he made a video and he said, you heard what she said? You heard what she said? Like, he was crying. You heard the sadness in his voice. And when she said, you heard what she said? She said she don't want a guy that's under 9 inches. And in the back of my mind, I'm watching this and I'm like, hold on for a minute. If you guys believe that Janae is a whore and that she's a female dog and that she's all these negative things under the sun, then likewise, you shouldn't care about what type of guys that she's into. Right? I mean, that's the way I think. If I believe or even know that a bitch ain't shit, I don't give a fuck what she like. You ain't shit. Why would I give a fuck about what an ain't shit bitch like and don't like about a guy? Like, if an ain't shit bitch turns around and says, I'm not attracted to guys that have dreadlocks, I don't find them attractive, I don't give a fuck. I'll be the last one to give a fuck. You think I'm gonna I mean, that's common sense. Once again, that's common sense, right? But basically, the reason why I brought up that girl Janae and how a lot of males was reacting when she admitted that she is not attracted to a guy that has less than 9 inches in between their legs. I'm showing you another example of males on YouTube, especially the so-called black males, suffering from habitual rejection traumatic disorder, H.R.T.D. When these types of males hear a female express her dating preferences, if they do not fit the dating preference that female likes, my theory is that they turn around and internalize that as them being rejected by that female, even if that female never had an actual interest in these individuals in the first place, right? But they take that as a rejection in itself, and then they go back into memory lane and think of all the females in the past that rejected them, and they allow those females in the past who rejected them to put them in a state of being traumatized. So when they hear a female on the internet, state their preferences that they don't fit the description of, they turn around and feel even more traumatized. Thus, they make these response videos crying and complaining, crying and complaining. H.R.T.D, Habitual Rejection Traumatic Disorder. You have a lot of so-called black people on YouTube who have a habit of being traumatized by rejection. They allow rejection to traumatize them. That is my diagnosis to a lot of so-called black people on YouTube. And once again, and to make it fair, even though I'm utilizing these crying ass niggas as examples of H.R.T.D, a lot of you bitches suffer from the same thing also. A lot of these so-called black females suffer from H.R.T.D also, which is why they love to shame black males who express an interest in females who are of a different race or ethnicity than them. That's why they so complain if they're fat. And they complain about black males that don't find fat bitches attractive. That's HRTD, habitual rejection traumatic disorder. They internalize a male's not desiring fat chicks as rejection in their eyes. And then they go back into memory lane and think of all the other males in the past that rejected their fat ass, and they become traumatized over it. Habitual rejection traumatic disorder, HRTD. This is why when you have so-called black males who profess to be quote-unquote SYSBM and who profess to have a desire of dating females who were born and raised outside of America, a lot of so-called black American females cry about that because they take that as rejection and they become traumatized over that because once again, that rejection that they think that they're going through, where it's not really rejection at all, it's just a person expressing their dating preferences, but because I guess these females don't fit the dating preference of males who are SYSBM, these so-called black American females take that as a form of rejection, and they also then go back into memory lane and think about all the past males that rejected them in their past. And they allow that rejection to traumatize them. And then they come online and express and show that trauma that they have over being rejected. HRTD, habitual rejection traumatic disorder. When people are repeatedly traumatized by the rejection that they experience in life, not understanding that rejection is a human experience. Every human being will face rejection at some point in their lives, whether it be rejection in the world of dating, whether it be rejection in the world of relationships, whether it be rejection in the corporate environment, in places of employment, places of business, and what have you. Hell, you may be rejected from being qualified to get a new credit card. Right? You're trying to get another credit card, but in that credit card company, they look up your credit score, and that credit card company or that financial institution feels that your credit score is not high enough to meet the qualifications. of being approved for that credit card, then you're going to be rejected. What's up, Toya? What's up, Toya? My bad. I dropped something, but that's all good. It ain't nothing broke. Oh, Degenerate Sharington. What's up? What's up? Yeah, exactly, Degenerate Sharington. Dudes really need to stop caring about these harlots. Yes. Third World Colombian says, I remember her. She used to be on one master teacher panels. Niggas used to simp over her just because she was light skinned. Niggas act like dark skinned chicks are the only women that come with fuckery. Right. Yeah, Third World Colombian was talking about Janae. You know, the female that I was speaking about earlier. Yeah. As if a lighter complected female can't be ratchet and fucked up either. Come on. JLJ504HD, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Toya, all of us have went through, and all of us will go through rejection one way or another. That's just a part of life. The only thing you can do is not allow that rejection to make you give up on whatever goal that you have in mind. And just keep on moving in life. Yeah, thank you, Third Wolf, for sharing. Thank you. You know, I should thank you. And if you guys haven't done so yet, like and share this video. I shouldn't have to tell nobody, but I guess I do. If you're watching this right now, please like and share this video. You know, make sure some real motherfuckers get into the algorithm. You know, the problem with a lot of people on here is that they don't want to support or share other people's content because they feel that, you know, their channel is in competition with the next person's channel. You know, I don't want to share it because you might have more views than me. And if you end up having more views than me, I could lose some of my donation money. That's pathetic. But once again, Third World Colombian, thank you for sharing. Thank you. And anyone else who shared this video, I appreciate it. Thank you. You know. But back to the topic. God damn. It seems as if people having these trauma bonding sessions over being rejected by the opposite sex is more important than anything that's going on in the real world right now. You know, some say that we might experience having another recession. I mean, when you look at the different financial markets, you see when you look at the crypto market, when you even look at even the stock market, you see the value of a lot of securities is decreasing. And it keeps decreasing. So some predict that we're already in another recession. And you know, when it comes to a recession, you just never know how bad that recession will be. But instead of us focusing on that, instead of us, you know, the so-called thinking black men focusing on if there will be another recession, how can we survive from that? What can we do to what can we do instead of focusing on what can we do in order to Yeah, I'm looking for, there's a word that I'm looking for. In order to overcome this recession that we might have or that we're probably already in, what we're focused on, complaining about some 23-year-old female rejecting somebody else, complaining about some whore breaking up with some millionaire actor who shouldn't have been in a serious relationship with that female in the first place. I mean, are these two things the most important things or the most important topics that we can come up with? I thought this was a space for thinking black men. I thought this was a red pill space. And contrary to popular belief, red pill, being red pill, is deeper than just talking about females. And I keep stating this over and over and over again. Being red pill or speaking about red pill topics does not start and end with complaining about females. See, because if you're going to go by the original definition of red pill, which was actually created by a black woman, you know, the actual term red pill was created by a black woman, because remember, the figure of speech red pill comes from the film The Matrix, right? Being red pill or being blue pill comes from the film The Matrix, and the original creator of The Matrix was a so-called black female by the name of, I keep forgetting the sister's name, man. Can somebody in the comment section put that person's name? I keep forgetting the sister's name, who was the original writer of The Matrix, and she originally created the she originally wrote the script for the film The Terminator, and she actually sued the two brothers who directed The Matrix for stealing the idea from her. She actually also sued the director of The Terminator. Sophia Stewart. Thank you, Complex Design. What's up? Okay, Blazer Trademark, what's going on? What's up? Yeah, Complex Design. Sophia, yeah, thank you. Sophia Stewart, right? So the metaphor of red pill and blue pill came from the film The Matrix, which was originally created. The film, or the idea of the film, was originally created by a so-called black female by the name of Sophia Stewart, who was born and raised from right here in New York City. Right? And of course, according to the film, being red pill is a metaphor, which means the ability to see the bigger picture, or having a higher level of consciousness in order to recognize how society truly operates. And the term blue pill is a metaphor for those who don't have that high level of consciousness, those who are not yet able to see the bigger picture and to see how society truly operates. So the term red pill, blue and blue pill are nothing more than a metaphor referring to a state of consciousness, or a state of awareness, or a state of social or political awareness. And that is deeper than the whole male and female thing. I mean, what I just stated earlier, when it comes to my theory of the mainstream media sensationalizing mass shootings with an agenda to convince Americans to give up or restrict their Second Amendment rights, that's a red pill talking point. See, that's really red pill, because I'm actually giving a theory that involves having a high state of consciousness in order to be able to discern the true agenda of the powers that be. See, that's a red pill talking point, regardless if you agree or disagree with my theory. But that's a red pill talking point. But coming out talking about female nature, female nature, female nature, that's not no motherfucking red pill. These modern women, they don't want a good man, they want a pookie. That's not a red pill talking point. Oh my gosh, she rejected a nuclear physicist. Oh my gosh, you see, these women don't want a good man. These women don't want a good man. That's not a red pill talking point. That's just crying like a little bitch over some pussy that's not even worth paying attention to. There's nothing red pill about that shit. The fuck? Yeah, pelvis politicking. Pelvis politicking. But back to the topic, right? Another example of a lot of males in this space suffering from, well, a lot of so-called black people in general, not just the black males, but the black females in general. Another example of so-called black people on YouTube suffering from H.R.T.D, Habitual Rejection Traumatic Disorder. Well, on the part of the males, when they start complaining about so-called black females on YouTube divesting or swirling. Like you're literally complaining about females coming on here and expressing how they prefer to date interracially. I mean, do you see how stupid that is? You see how stupid that shit sound? Like you're complaining over an adult making a decision that they have every right to make. Like if a so-called black female prefer to be in an interracial relationship for whatever reason, that's their right. Just as much as a so-called black male have every right to be in an interracial or interethnic relationship if he so desired to, right? And it's like you're complaining over some shit you have no control over. Like you don't have any control over the decision and the choice that another adult choose to make. You have no, like nobody have no control over that. So it's a waste of time and energy to complain about that shit. But when you suffer from H.R.T.D, you think that it's actually worthy of complaining about that shit because once again, because a lot of you people suffer from H.R.T.D, when you see someone of the opposite sex that express a personal preference that you do not fit the description of, you feel rejected. You feel rejected by that person. And once again, once you feel rejected by that person, you then go back into memory lane and remember all the females in your past who rejected you, and you allow that to traumatize you, to stress you out, to the point of the fact that you express that trauma once you come online and complain about the preferences of other adults. Or in this case, about these divestment people. Like if you're a so-called black male on YouTube, right? And you acknowledge that there are, unfortunately, a good number of so-called black females who are not of good quality, then likewise you shouldn't give a fuck about what a lot of these low quality females desire when it comes to the opposite sex. But the only people who think like that are people who do not suffer from H.R.T.D. When you do not feel rejected because someone on the internet express a personal preference that you do not fit the description of. When you do not internalize that and then think back of all the people in your past who rejected you, and you do not allow that to traumatize you. When people are not traumatized by rejection and understand that rejection is just a normal part of life, they don't make a big deal about these things. Yeah, Blaze, that's right. Yeah, the Matrix and Terminator have a similar basis. Yeah, they do. That's true. But back to the topic, right? Yeah. You know, why should I, as a so-called black man, give a fuck if a so-called black female decides to be in an interracial relationship or marriage? Like, why should I give a fuck about that? Like, why should I even put any energy to give a fuck about that? To me, I don't see something like that making sense. It just doesn't make sense in my mind. It doesn't make any sense in my mind. All right, I'm back. Yeah, man. H.R.T.D. Habitual rejection traumatic disorder, where a lot of so-called black people make rejection as a focal point of their content. You know, I mean, ever since the ever since the creation of so-called Black Manosphere 2.0, I recognize that pattern of behavior. Where prior to that, when so-called black males express their issue with the opposite sex, before black males would express how they've been mistreated by the opposite sex when they are in relationships and or marriage with the opposite sex of their own race. So the generation of black males that came before the 2.0 era of the Black Manosphere, their grievances was how they've been mistreated by the black females who claim to love them, who claim to be committed to them. Right? It's really funny. But then, once the so-called Black Manosphere 2.0, uh, existed, I saw how the topic changed from speaking about mistreatment to then complaining about being rejected. When you have so-called black males going on the internet, coming online, making videos, complaining how so-called black females do not find them attractive because they're below a certain height. And when I hear this type of shallow complaining, I'm sitting there saying to myself, well, is that the issue that you got with the opposite sex? Is that, they reject you because you have a certain height? You mean to tell me that is you mean to tell me that's something serious to talk about? I mean, all the things that black males have gone through in society and are still going through, your big complaint is how the opposite sex rejected you because of your height? Or you still have this bullshit about males coming on the internet complaining about how, I would constantly hear this, this type of story, how black males would go to a nightclub and how the females, especially the so-called black females in the nightclub, didn't find them interesting. Instead, they found the pookies in the nightclub interesting. In the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, obviously you came across some low quality females because that's what you're going to have for the most part at a nightclub. I'm not saying every single female who goes to a nightclub is of low quality, but a large portion of them are a bunch of degenerates who desire to go to the club and meet degenerate males. So if you don't fit that description of a damn degenerate, of course they're not going to be interested in you. A degenerate is not supposed to be interested in a non-degenerate. And likewise, a non-degenerate is not supposed to be interested in a degenerate. So if you visit a degenerate nightclub and you see scores and scores of degenerate ass, low quality, retarded ass bitches, you best believe that the main guys they're going to be attracted to are some degenerate, low quality, retarded ass niggas. That's common fucking sense. But then you got these males on here complaining about that. Complaining how they go into a nightclub and some females don't find them attractive. So it's like it's a common pattern where males are complaining about females rejecting them. So you see, so I have to come to a conclusion that they just suffer from a disorder. Habitual rejection traumatic disorder. You're traumatized, or you're habitually or constantly traumatized by the rejection that you've experienced in your past. Habitual rejection traumatic disorder, H.R.T.D. That is my diagnosis that I give to the majority of so-called black people on YouTube. And that's what's wrong with these incels also. Speaking of incels, with these so-called incels, right? So-called incels, because that's all they cry about is being rejected, right? Is being rejected. And it's not that, and I don't think that these so-called incels are actually involuntary celibate. That they're celibate because that the reason why they're celibate is due to something that's outside of their control. Thus, they are involuntarily celibate. No. You just suffer from habitual rejection traumatic disorder. You're extremely traumatized by the rejection that you've experienced in your past, and you've allowed that rejection to traumatize you so bad to the point of the fact that you just become all out crazy and weird and some shit. Because, you know, when people suffer from disorders, especially a psychological disorder, because this disorder that I just made up is a psychological disorder. And like most psychological disorders, when you suffer from that, your behavior is no longer normal. You don't function in a way that's normal because you're traumatized. So your use of logic and rational thinking has shut down. Thus, you operate in an illogical and irrational way to the point of the fact that you appear to be strange in the presence of other people. And that turns other people off. You know, and thus this is the case with these so-called incels. And these incels are thinking that the reason why people are turned off, or people of the opposite sex are turned off by them, is because of things that are outside of their control. No, the reason why people people of the opposite sex are turned off at the presence of so-called incels is because these incels have allowed their trauma to take them to a place mentally where they lose track of any type of logic, rational thinking, and any type of social skills. That's really what it is. Thus, you appear to be a weirdo and strange to the people around you because you let your H.R.T.D take you into this deep level of trauma and depression. That's really what it is, man. But anyhow, I've spoke for a little bit too long. I didn't even expect this video or this stream to last for more than an hour, but hey, I guess I had a lot to say. Anyhow, like, comment, subscribe. Fuck, you know what? You guys do that if you want to. You know, I'm usually not that type of person that's tell people to like, comment, subscribe, because I believe that people should be doing that anyway. And, you know, people going to do that if they want to. You know, it doesn't matter how much I tell people to share this video, click like on it. You're always going to have people that's not going to do it. And it's all good. It's all good with me. That's, hey, because at the end of the day, it's your choice, right? I'm not going to be traumatized about it. I'm not going to feel rejected over it. I understand that's life. But yo, anyhow, hope some of you guys, or all of you guys who watch this video learned something. I hope it gave you guys some food for thought. So, farewell. Well, I won't say farewell. I'll just say have a good day. See you guys next time, Lord willing. Peace.